I'm sorry it took so long. The experience was experiencing, and it was experiencing all day. I met up with some of the girls that I met, and we were just sharing our perspectives all day. It was four of us. All three of them got theirs out, and I still have yet to do mine. But it's so crazy because while I was there, the production team of the event, they interviewed me, and I actually gave my entire testimony on their camera, so they have that footage, and that was in real time while it was happening. And I'm just having the hardest time putting together mine. But I'm gonna try my best. Y'all here with me in real time, and we'll just see how it goes. I'll probably have to just clean it up along the way. Sorry about the lighting. I'm just sitting on the couch, I don't know. So yeah, here we go. So that Sunday morning, I woke up out of bed, and like immediately it dawned on me that what I'm about to go to on Sunday, like what I'm going to this event is like, this is serious. Like the magnitude of what's about to take place is serious. And realizing that as I have my alarm set for like 4 and 5 a.m. because I have to leave from West Palm to take the train to Miami to get to Atlanta. I wake up to my alarms, and immediately I realize the magnitude of where I'm about to go. And things like this, events like this is uncommon. You don't really hear about events where prayer takes place in a stadium. What the things that take place in stadiums are basketball games, concerts, like conventions, Super Bowl, like things like that take place in stadiums. People don't gather in stadiums to pray. So these are my thoughts as soon as I wake up. So immediately I feel this urge to just pray for traveling mercies. So that's what I do. I say my prayer and I head out on my way. There's a lot of nitty-gritty details in between that I need to spare because I'll be talking all day. I'm just trying to keep this concise, but concise yet comprehensive, so please bear with me. But when I make it to the airport, lo and behold, like a lot of really little petty things was happening. Petty in the sense that it just wasn't dramatic. Like I wasn't having issues with TSA. It's not like I was running late because I was on time. Like they were really small, like minuscule things, if I said that right. And then God gave me just like very clear and direct instructions. He was like, Alyssa, focus. He said, listen to the professionals. He said, follow the signs, the reliable signs. He said, keep your mind at peace. And I was like, okay. I was telling my wifey about it. So this is the text message that I sent her. So like get a little bit more perspective, right? And it's like, thank God that was dropped in my spirit to listen, because if I didn't, there would have been many opportunities for me to be derailed. Okay, here's a quick prime example of like if I wasn't paying attention enough to the details, this is something important that I would have missed, but it was so subtle. It was so subtle. When I got through TSA, I checked my boarding pass to see what my gate was. I checked the white one first. And I was like, all right, bet. And I just immediately started heading in that direction. But, I wasn't staying like focused. I just was like walking on my phone. I was just walking around aimlessly and not being focused. And then I got this urge, like my spirit was telling me to check my boarding pass again. So then I checked the yellow one. And as you see, on the yellow one, it's a completely different gate. And Miami Airport is pretty big. Those gates were so far from each other. So imagine if I was just sitting in the wrong gate the entire time, and then the gate I needed to go to was so far, I could have missed my flight. All right, so now I'm just gonna fast forward. I don't want to dwell too much on the beginning, but once I stayed focused and did what I was told, I was able to, I made it successfully to Atlanta, as we all saw, as we see now. And everything was pretty much smooth sailing all the way up until I get to the stadium, which is fitting, right? All the way up till I get to the stadium. Everything was smooth sailing all the way up till I got to the stadium. So once I get there, there's just like, as you saw, like just an ocean of people just waiting to get into the stadium. The lines are like wrapped around the block and like people are just everywhere. And it was just like interesting because, they sold merch for the event. Like, so I was wearing my shirt, my Access shirt, and I wasn't seeing anybody else wearing any type of merch as I was walking up towards the stadium. And I noticed, I'm like, dang, like I thought we was all gonna be showing out, but not like it was expectation. I just thought I would have seen people in a shirt by now, and I didn't. And then, I felt it in my spirit that I was told, my spirit told me, the first person that you see wearing an Access shirt, so the name of the event, give them a hug. So I'm like, now I'm not looking as hard as I was before, because like I ain't trying to be out here approaching people talking about giving me a hug. Like, that's weird. But God's like, you heard the command, and I'm like, I did. So even though I'm not really scanning the crowd no more, once one come pop up in a shirt, even in my peripherals, once I see him, I gotta obey. I gotta do what I'm told. And lo and behold, this old white couple, dynamic duo, not one, but two people. The first people that I see wearing an Access shirt are these two old white people, this couple. Oh Lord. So I was like, here we go. So they're walking away from the stadium and I'm going to the stadium, and I was like, is this the line for the stadium? And they're like, yeah, that's it. And I'm like, are you leaving? And they were like, yeah. I was like, why would you leave? They're like, we've been here since 12 and da-da-da-da. And the Holy Spirit took over at this point because they told me they've been here since 12. And I'm just like, if you've been here since 12, why are you leaving? No, I was like, you have to stay. Now I'm telling them they got to stay. And the conversation is just so naturally fluid. And she was like, we really want to. I was like, you guys spend all this time, like, you gotta stay. But she was like, no, but my husband, he's sick. He has diabetes, and, he can't really, like, he's not feeling well. I was like, oh, okay, I understand. No, like, at the end of the day, that's very important. So you go ahead, you go home, you take care of him. Like, that's really good. And I was like, but before you go, the Holy Spirit led me to, they said the first person you see in the Access shirt to give him a hug. So I'm like, can I hug y'all? And they were so pleased. They're like, of course. So I told them that, and I gave them a hug, and they gave me a hug. And she's like, and I'm going to give you this. I'm sorry it took so long. The experience was experiencing, and it was experiencing all day. So I was just I was really pleasantly surprised by that. I did not expect to receive something after giving the hug. And it was like so perfect because, the little pocket-sized Jesus I put in my pocket, Jesus was always with me. And I'm sure that's exactly what she meant by it when she gave it to me. And I just felt like I had just completed a level of a quest. Like I acquired an infinity stone. Like I felt like, all right, like God showed me, good, you received what I wanted you to get. Wow. You received what I wanted you to get. Okay, it's about to make sense. You received what I wanted you to get when she gave me that little Jesus that I put in my pocket because, I just felt like he was, like, now he could just always be with me. Wow. I just had a realization on the camera. So then anyways, after that, I'm on my way, and now I'm like actually approaching the line, getting closer to the line itself. And as I'm looking at it, like where I can't even see where the end begins. Like I can't even see the back of the line. It's so far. And then God tells me to, because now I'm seeing a lot of people with the Access merch on. Like when I'm closer, everybody's geared out. And then God tells me to put on my hoodie and zip it up, because I'm wearing a shirt too. He says, zip up your hoodie and go to the front. That was the instruction. Zip up your hoodie and go to the front. And mind you, it's like 80 degrees out. And I brought the hoodie because like I'm low-key anemic, just in case, it got cold at some point. I didn't really plan on wearing it because it was warm out. But God said, zip up your hoodie and go to the front. That's the instruction. So I zip up my hoodie and I make my way to the front. And to me, it makes sense though. I'm like, Lord, if you want me to go to the front, I was like, I guess it makes sense for me to zip up my hoodie, because if they see my shirt, they're going to obviously know I'm here for the same event, and they're going to think I'm cutting. And, people are people, so God forbid someone gets, upset at the thought of thinking that I'm cutting. So when I'm covered, it's like I'm incognito. Like they don't know if I'm here for the event or if I'm just a passerby who just so happens to be walking on the same sidewalk as you, trying to make my way. So nobody was bothering me at all. And as I'm making my way to the front, what I'm thinking is the front, I run into this lady. She looks like she's probably about my age, but she's very pregnant, and she's also pushing a baby in the stroller. She's beautiful though. She was pretty. So I just approach her and I ask her, I was like, is this the front of the line? She was like, I don't remember exactly. I don't think she said yes. Because I was still confused which way to go after talking to her. But she was saying how she's been there since, no. I'm trying to think. She wasn't there since 12, but she had a friend that was there since 12 p.m. But the way she's so pregnant, she was like, child, please. She was like, no. I was like, oh, so you just here for moral support? She was like, no, I'm going in. She said, my friend, just holding the spot or whatever. And I'm like, oh. I said, I'm looking for the front though. I don't know. I was telling her, I don't really know which way to go. And the next thing you know, we hear all of this cheering in a different direction. And I was like, oh, I guess that must be the front. And immediately she was like, child, please. I said, they've been cheering. She was like, they've been cheering like that all day. I was like, really, like that? And she was like, yeah. So I was like, so you're telling me that the cheering sound that we heard just now is the same type of cheering that you've been hearing like this whole time? And she was like, yes. And I said, that's crazy, because it sounded so convincing. So then it just dropped in my spirit, like, don't just follow the crowd. Don't be distracted, is what I was like. That's what dropped in my spirit. So I was like, all right, well, if she's saying that, it's been the same type of cheering and ain't nothing happening, then I'm not going to go that way. I was like, so Lord, I said, which way do I go then? So as soon as I was thinking, like, which way do I go? All of a sudden, the line starts moving. The line starts moving, and they start letting people in. Because mind you, it starts at 5, and the door is open at 3. I got there by 4:30. So now that I think about it, obviously they had already let people in. So they must have just been reaching capacity. Now that I think about it, they must have just been reaching capacity. But the line starts moving and people are going. So me and her, we start walking together. I'm walking her. She got her little waddle going on. She got the baby, and I'm just walking with her. Like, we friends now. And when we get there, and it's not even to the front, it's to the side. They talking about the doors are closed, like they not letting nobody else in. At least from that entrance, they said they're not letting nobody else in. And I'm like, dang. They're saying head to the overflow. Damn, I'm trying my best to keep it concise and comprehensive, but this story still ended up, it's taking so long. I'm sorry. I'm going to try to fast forward it again, but I walk with her over to the overflow, but I'm like, we get into the overflow building. I could have been in the overflow building if I wanted to, But I told her, I was like, I was told I need to go to the front, girl. I gotta go to the front. Are you gonna stay here? Are you gonna come with me? And she's like, girl, I'm gonna stay. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go check out the front, and if there's any opportunity, I'll text you, and tell you where to go, and I'll save you a spot, whatever, if I am able to get in. She's like, okay, cool. And she gave me her number, and then I left her because I'm like, nah, I can't stay here. I said, God told me to go to the front. So I make my way to the front. Now the crowd is coming towards me, and I'm walking through the crowd. As I'm walking, through the crowd, I see people coming from, even more further beyond where we were. So I just I'm just following the source of the flow of the crowd, like where the crowd is flowing from. It's like I was crawling up a river. And I was just trying to make it to the front. I was like, okay, where they're coming from, it must be like the starting point. So, and as I'm doing that, they're not letting nobody in. You turn around, go to the overflow. They're not gonna let you in. All of this denial, and discouragement, like you're not gonna get in. They're closing the doors. There's no point. All of this stuff, and then it just reminded me, don't follow the crowd. Don't get distracted. I was so hyped when I realized that in real time, because after that, it was just like, I just started feeling like I had a shield in front of me. I was like, go ahead, because y'all be easy. Yeah. I hear you. Like, it was just all bouncing off. It was just all bouncing off of me after that. Like, I didn't care. And the closer I was getting to the front, the more people were just like, turn around. They're not letting. It got more aggressive. And I'm just like, yeah, no, y'all be easy. So I make it to the front. Hallelujah. I make it to the front. And there's still a good amount of people who also didn't listen. They stayed right there at the front. And now we're all just standing there hoping and praying, having faith that we will get in. And then this is where the experience takes place, right there. Because we never, spoiler alert, we never get into the building. We never get into the arena, ever. I'm sorry it took so long. The experience was experiencing, and it was experiencing all day. I met up with some of the girls that I met, and we were just sharing our perspectives all day. It was 4 of us. All 3 of them got theirs out, and I still have yet to do mine. But it's so crazy, because while I was there, the production team of the event, they interviewed me, and I actually gave my entire testimony on their camera, so they have that footage, and that was in real time while it was happening. And I'm just having the heart. All right. Sheesh, you hear my voice? We'll have to get to that. Anyways, so where were we? So I'm outside the arena. I made it, and like I said, that there were people who also didn't listen. So, and it's a lot of us. Like, if I were to divide what that 40,000 people consisted of, it would be the 20,000 in the arena, definitely about maybe 10 or 15,000 in the overflow, because that was actually a really big area too, and 5,000 outside. So I'm still, we're still going through all these people outside, and in the front, it's a large group in the front, and I'm not even in the front. I'm more I start off towards the back middle. So while I'm kind of just trying to see if I can slither my way, kind of to the front, it's not really working. It's a little tight packed. I overhear the security guard who's in the middle of the group too. It's one of the security guards talking to a girl. The girl was just saying how, I guess she has a person in there, which they probably heard that story a million times. But I'm here and they're talking, and I say that, I end up saying the same thing, honestly. I just thought about the couple I met, and I thought about the girl who both had people in there. So when I heard this girl say that she got someone in there, all I said was, me too. I said, my sister is in there. right? And he looks at me, he was just like, okay, you guys stand right here. I was about to laugh because, like, I'm actually not, like, I feel like I'm not too bad at this game at all. So when he said, he looked at me and he was like, okay, you guys stand right there, right? Immediately, my mind went back to the instructions I got in the airport to listen to the professionals, listen to the people doing their jobs. So when I tell you, my feet cemented to the ground, like I did not move. And when I had the urges to move, I only like did maybe like a step or two because I just felt like little like tiny conviction, like don't move. So I didn't. And like lo and behold, as I'm just standing there, I stood there for just a couple of minutes. You know, I'm trying to make eye contact with him, just to make sure he don't forget about me. And then just like, I then start seeing like God kind of just clearing people out the way because, you know, they're starting to lose faith like really fast. So yeah, like there was levels to it. People started clearing out by the boatload, and as they cleared out, I made my way to the front. I went to the front, to the point where I got right in front of the metal detectors. So I was like, all right, well, this has to be where I'm supposed to be, because if those doors do open and we're allowed to go through them, everybody has to go through the metal detectors. So I would be one of the first people to get inside. This is wishful thinking, right? But so now it's me by the metal detectors in the front. Yes, Lord. And there's this Hispanic girl next to me. There's these three black girls next to me. Then there's like this other Hispanic man next to me. There's another man behind the Hispanic girl, and it turns out it was her boyfriend. And then, I mean, it's still a good amount of people, but definitely not as much as how it started. But it's still a good amount of people. And we're waiting there, hopeful. We're waiting there, just listening to every single word that comes out of the security people's mouth in front of us. And the fire department is coming back and forth talking to them. So during this time, we're all just very hopeful. We're not really doing too much. We are all just, everyone's praying a little bit to themselves. You can look around, you see like some people praying, but everyone's really just kind of listening, trying to see like if they're going to open the door or not. The one security guy was saying how they're trying to negotiate with the fire marshal to see if they'll let a little bit more people, to see if they would let a little bit more people in, because apparently like at the time, it wasn't full to capacity. So we were a little bit hopeful, even though we're about like, we're probably about a good 30, 40 minutes in. And then, they started letting people in with yellow wristbands. People had like these yellow wristbands on. So now we're like, one, we realized that it's not full to capacity. Two, that people are able to get in with these yellow wristbands. Three, where did they get these yellow wristbands from? Because, they're not people who are part of the team. Where did they get these yellow wristbands from? So now everyone is just like, well, that's not fair. So now, now there's a little bit of anger. A fly. Oh, I'll be back. Okay, yeah, so anyway, so everyone is really locked in at that point, just trying to really understand what's really going on here. And then, God tells me to find an ear that will listen. Find an ear that'll listen and tell them the story of Pocket Jesus, right? So, and the thing is, that was the command. Find an ear that will listen. That was the instruction. And I didn't know what it meant at first. So I started looking around for ears that I hope would listen. That's what I started doing. Once I got that thought dropped in my spirit, I was like, okay. I started looking around for ears that I hope would listen. And I saw this this black security guard. He looked like he was like the head of the security guards. So yeah, I'm realizing now that I changed the command. I didn't realize it at all on that day. I'm realizing it now that the command was find an ear that'll listen, but instead I was looking for an ear that I hoped would listen. And because I was being the one trying to determine who looks like they would listen, when I thought I found that person, it didn't work. I really thought that, I got ahead of myself. That was one of the rules in the airport. Don't get too far ahead of yourself, because I felt like, all right, that looks like a chief security guard. He has the ability to get us through the doors. Let me try and get his attention, and if I could just tell him this story, then we should get inside. That was my thought. And I'm not going to dwell on this. But I'm just, at the end of the day, all of these videos are for me. I'm just acting like I'm talking to you guys. Is really helping me keep the storyline together. So if no one makes it this far, it's okay. But anyways, I just had another revelation on top of that. So I chose the security guard because he looked like, in my mind, I was like, I need to choose somebody with authority, with enough authority to get us through the doors. So I chose him, right? And when I even did tell him the story, when I told him the story, he listened to it for sure, because I asked him to. I was like, can you just give me a second to listen? I started, bro, as I was telling the story, I started kind of like tripping over my words. That should have been a sign number one. But I just asked him, just hear me out. And I just started getting to just the bullet points of the story. God told me to find the first person with the shirt, found the couple, gave him a hug. They gave me this. And he just, he smiled at me, and he was just like, I'm sorry, I just can't let you in. And that was it. He didn't even respond to it for real. And I'm just like, okay. Well, I was like, Lord, I did it. So now we'll see what happens next. And God was like, no, you didn't do it. Because then I later learned that as I was listening to him have a conversation with somebody else, he had just worked a pride event like the day before. The lady he was talking to asked him, she was like, why would you work an event like that? And he was like, I don't know. He's like, I just thought it would be easy, because I didn't think, people were going to really come out for that. And she looked at him and I looked at him, and we were just laughing. I said, they roll deep. And he was just like, yeah, I know that now. But the thing is, he just thought it would be easy. So easy money. So it's just one, what are you willing to do for money? And two, homosexuality is a sin. All followers and Christians know that. So it's just where are your morals in your faith? So those were two red flags after I heard. And if I caught on in the moment, then I would have realized, girl, he was not the one. But it's all right. But here's the gag. Before I told him the story, I actually told the Hispanic girl next to me. I told her the story because we were just talking and she was just listening. And I told her, and she was just like, what? She had an actual reaction to it. And she's like, that's amazing. And where is Pocket Jesus anyways? Where did he go? He's on his bed somewhere, I'm sure. But anyways, yeah, so she was the one that actually was the one that was supposed to listen. And then I wasn't even the one that got the security guard's attention. She was. Because I told her, I was like, I think he's the one. I was like, but I don't even know how to approach him. And then she just was being spicy and just went up there and just called for his attention. She asked him just a question just to give me an alley-oop. And when I started asking him the question, I started falling and tripping over my words. This is crazy. But I know she was the right person because of what happens next. So, like I said, in this time, the atmosphere is a little bit tense. Everyone's very just kind of locked in radio, listening to what they're saying up front between the security people and the fire department. And ultimately, we get the news that they're not going to let nobody else in. So now, on top of whatever a little bit of tension there already was, now there's disappointment. So more people are leaving. People are like, they're feeling discouraged. You hear discouraged talk in the air and all of that stuff. And as everyone is starting to feel sad, there was like literally like a shift. So it went from a little bit of hope to now there's a shift to like there's disappointment, there's sadness, sorrow, and people are leaving. But then, old girl, I'm just standing there like, nah, this ain't it. At this point, I'm just standing there. I'm like kind of just tuning out the noise because I already know in my heart. I was like, no, this is definitely not. I was like, this is not it. So I'm not even listening to none of the talk, but I'm just standing there. I'm just standing there, just still like not really thinking anything. I'm just watching the front door. I'm watching the interactions of the security. Like I'm not doing or thinking anything in the moment. But then the same Hispanic girl that was right next to me, she starts playing the song that I've been listening to on repeat all day. She starts singing Trust in God. Well, she plays it from her phone. Like, so she plays it from her phone and I hear it. And then she starts singing it a little bit. And then immediately I join in. Because I'm like, number one, this is my song. Like I was listening to it on repeat all day. Between that song and Holy Forever, all day. So she's playing the song. And y'all hear my voice, right? I can't hit any notes right now. My voice is it's raspy. I used to be able to hold a note, but I can't anymore, and I've accepted that a long time ago. But in that moment, dog, so she played that song, I started singing with her, and her voice cracked. And she got embarrassed, and I literally told her, I was like, it's okay. Like, I just touched her, I was like, it's okay, and I kept singing, and I made up for it, and bro, I was singing, and I sounded good, bro. I don't know. God literally touched me in real life. Like, I didn't feel it or nothing like that, but like the way my voice sounded, it sounded like I knew how to sing. Like, it was insane. And then it was in that moment, like a man behind her joins in. So it's three of us singing, and then other people kind of are joining in on and off, but we're all start worshiping essentially as a collective, right? And I just felt this urge to look around. Like, I felt this urge to just like kind of just do like a pan around the room to see what's going on. And as I'm seeing that, like, there's these white women in the back. They start praying, like they praying out loud, and they're praying loud and out loud. Then I see this guy like standing next to me with his Bible, and he's like praying silently to himself with his head down. But he's praying hard to himself. And then there's people crying, like, cause now it's like all of a sudden, like, faith was like building, like it was building in real time around, like I was just seeing people increasing in faith. It was like charging up. It was like amazing. So I'm literally witnessing faith, like building momentum, and it was reaching a climax. Like everybody was locked in. At one point, they were all locked in. And then I got this thought dropped in my spirit. God told me, okay, like this is faith, but with faith, you have to accompany it with, but even if I don't, but even if it doesn't, because we're all so like on a spiritual high. We are so hopeful that something's going to happen. Like we're like, oh yeah, like God, like they're going to let us in these doors. And then in my mind it dropped, but even if they don't. And that was like, because I don't know if it clicked for anybody else, but we're so hyped thinking that, something like a breakthrough's about to happen, but what if it doesn't? And they sure didn't let us in. They did not let us in. And all I can say to that is that there is levels. There's levels to faith. And it's okay. Everybody is where they are. But people, like, there was a wave of discouragement again once, as it got a little bit later, they realized that we're really not getting in. And more people started leaving. So now the the area, the group of people is getting smaller. And those who are hanging around are just like still hanging on by faith. At this point, we're not really sure what for, but you know, we still here because we think something's gonna happen. And I start talking to like the people are like around me, like closely around me. I'm just like, honestly, when you think about why we came here, it wasn't for like the pastor in the arena. We all came here for God, to feel his presence. And when we think about the God that we came here for, we remember that it was like God is sovereign. That means he's all knowing, he's everywhere all at the same time. You know, he's all seeing, he's all hearing. So I was telling them, I was like, honestly, like, guys, like he is literally just as much out here as he is in there in max capacity. Like, just because we're not in there doesn't mean that we're not experiencing him. Like, I was like, there's no intensity control. Like his presence isn't controlled by intensity. Like, we all get this, where there are two or more, his presence is there in full capacity in every sense. What the intensity level is on us, the amount of people coming in. We bring the intensity, but God's presence is no intensity. I was like, we are getting everything that we need. I was like, we are here for a reason. Like, if God wanted us inside there, we would have been inside there. He is sovereign. He controls everything. I said, we're all out here for a reason. And then it started to dawn on me. That like those who are, it started to dawn on me that everybody is going to receive exactly what they need. Like, exactly what they need, they're going to get. Everyone is going to get fed. Everyone's going to get fed. And fed we were. I thought to myself, I was like, the people that are actually in there, you know, especially the ones who made it front and center, are probably the people who needed the food the most. And when you think about it like that, right? I was like, dang. I was like, he knew where we was all going to sit. Did he assign our seats according to just like our maturity levels? Who needs it the most? Like, who needs to hear? You guys are all called. You guys were all called to come to this event, and you all made it. Everyone get in your seats. Thank you. So then when you think about, when I was thinking about where my assigned seat is, like, my seat wasn't inside the stadium. My seat wasn't inside the overflow building. My seat was outside. We wasn't seeing anything live, and we wasn't seeing anything on the screens. By this time, right, our group of people outside is significantly smaller. It's significantly smaller. And I'm like, oh, wow. I was like, the faith is strong out here. And I was telling my friend, I was like, yo, if you think about it, I was like, imagine if none of our stories are unique. Everybody traveled to get here, right? Everyone traveled to get here for the same reason. We all wanted to get inside the stadium. Like, that's why we traveled 12 hours, 14 hours, 2 hours. You know, some people live down the street. People was coming from Australia. People was coming from Africa. We were talking, because then we started finding peace. We started really making peace with it. Like, it was a group of like, at least, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It was like 7 plus her 4 kids. It was like a group of 10 of us that were just, it wasn't only 10 of us there, but like when I'm talking to people, this is just my intimate group of people I'm talking to. And then there's still like a little handful of other people, probably maybe 30 at most at this point. But I was saying, like, none of us is unique, and we all wanted to get in, but we're all out here. I said, I hope the Australians and the Africans got in there, because that would be really heartbroken. But regardless, I was like, no matter how far we traveled, we didn't leave. We're still here. So it was interesting. It was interesting once we made peace with it, right? Because then we just really started, because we can't hear nothing. We can't really see anything. There's really not that many people here anymore. So we all are just talking to each other now. You know, we're talking to each other. We're getting to know each other. The girls that traveled, there was, so The one Hispanic girl, she traveled 12 hours. She drove with her man 12 hours to get here just to not make it inside. The other lady, she drove 9 hours by herself with her 4 kids. She did not look, she didn't even look that much older than me. I don't think she even was. She was probably maybe 1 or 2 years older than me. She drove here with her 4 kids, all under the age of 8. They were young kids. And she told me, she was like, I don't even take them to the grocery store by myself because I'm so overwhelmed. But I just felt so led to come here. Then the 3 girls that I met, who would become my really good friends for the night and for the day after, they drove 9 hours. They drove 9 hours to get here. And guess where they drove from? Guess what they drove from? Guess! Sorry, I didn't mean to yell. I just get excited sometimes because the way God works is crazy, because there's no such thing as coincidences. There's no such thing as coincidences, especially if the coincidence is a good one. That's only God. These 3 girls who would become my best friends for the rest of the night and the next day, they drove 9 hours from West Palm Beach, Florida. Oh my God, like 8 minutes away from my house, dog. 8 minutes away from my house. Like, coincidence? I think not. I think not, dog. Yo. So yeah, so we're so at peace at this point. We're sitting on the floor, we're comfortable, we yapping and stuff. But then we start hearing like this big, just roaring sounds coming from the stadium. So they getting into worship, boy. The prayer stuff is over and they are into worship. It's this roaring thunder of a sound. We hear music now. My girl, her friends that she came with, their songs started playing. They started playing Holy Forever, and that just started. Ooh, listen. God knew not to actually let me hear what song was playing, because I didn't hear it. But my friend was like, "Girl, this is her song. This is her song." So now the atmosphere back up again. The atmosphere is back up again, and we are just like everybody is just like, we're praying, we're singing, all types of stuff. We're talking, we're empowering each other. And I was telling the girl with the 4 kids, my friend, that my heart, I felt it in my heart for her. She looked like around my age. She had 4 kids under the age of 4. 4 kids under the age of 8. It was probably like 3, 4, like maybe 6 or 7, and then 8. Like I feel like 8 was the oldest age of the oldest child. So it was definitely like 3 and 4, and then like either 6 and 8 or 7 and 8. That's what they look like. But girl, her hands were full. Like she was so tired. Like she was tired, and I felt it into my heart. For some reason, like during the time, it just dawned on me that she was like here by herself, right? With her 4 kids. And I looked at her, I'm like, girl, I said, you're doing a good thing. I just started talking to her out of nowhere. I said, you're doing a good thing. I was like, they are at perfect ages. They are at perfect ages for core memories, right? They're old enough for core memories, meaning that like this is going to be embedded in their heart, them being here. And the memories are most likely going to be vague and faded, but it's going to be embedded. They're going to like remember like the essence of this. And hopefully you would pray that when they're old enough, they look back on this and just wonder what you were doing when they just remember this vague memory. And I'm telling her this, right? I'm telling her this because I'm excited for her. Because I especially as I like grow and mature more, I think about times that my mom was clearly going through something, but I was too young, or maybe just too, like I just wasn't aware enough to realize that she was going through something. So immediately I just thought of that, because like I thought as I was growing more mature and like in my faith, I had moments when I realized, dang, my mother, she was going through something and I didn't know. And maybe if I did, I would have been maybe less, not to say I was a difficult daughter, I wasn't, but maybe I would have been more compassionate, or maybe didn't give her as much of a hard time, or, I don't know. But I mean, thankfully I was never mean to my mom, but that's beyond the point. Anyways, I told the lady that she was doing a good thing, and you just pray that they wonder what you were doing when they're older. So like I said, I'm telling her this stuff because I'm just like excited for her, and I'm just proud of her, right? And next thing you know, like she is in tears. She is in tears. She is crying, and she was just like, "Thank you." She's like, "I needed to hear that." She's like, "I needed to hear that so bad. You don't understand." She's like, "I need so much." She's like, "I just don't know what I'm doing." Like, she started crying. She started crying. She's like, "I just don't know what I'm doing." And she's like, "I'm all alone and all this stuff." I'm like, okay. So now I was like, "You about to make me cry?" And I'm about to cry right now, so I'm gonna get it together. But so I give her a hug. And then she was like, "Can you pray over me?" She said, "Can you pray over me? Because she's like, I need clarity." I was like, "You want me to pray over you?" Mind you, I'm still so shy. I barely pray out loud and like over food. Like I said, I barely pray over food. Like I'm still shy to pray out loud. And she's asking me to pray over her like a whole human. I'm like, girl, but I didn't hesitate. No, I didn't hesitate. And I said, absolutely, I'll pray over you. And the Holy Spirit took over again. Well, he was obviously already taken over because I don't even know why I'm talking to her like this out of nowhere. And I say like this, I say a prayer that I'm impressed at myself as I'm doing it in my mind. I'm like, what is this? I'm like, what is this? Where are these words coming from? And she's crying. And her babies are crying, but not because they understand, but because they're babies. And they're being rowdy. We're holding hands. She's letting them go because she's trying to contain them. Bro, it was a scene for me. It was dramatic. And then after it, I felt so activated. It was like insane. So I give her a hug. She gives me a hug. We wipe our faces. And like I said, I just feel so activated. And it's crazy because Pastor Philip, he told everybody to come here expecting something to happen, right? So all this time is passing by, and I'm not going to leave anyways. He said to come expecting, and I do expect something to happen. And like, there's points where I was feeling guilty because I'm like, is this lack of faith if like I start getting discouraged? Because like, no, I don't know. Thoughts going through my head, that's the enemy, whatever. But I'm like, no, I'm not leaving until something happens, right? And these are thoughts I had earlier in the day, and then that happened, and immediately my heart was full. I was like, "Yup." I said, "Yup." That was it. I was like, I mean, the show is pretty much like over now. People are like leaving, and I was like, I could leave now if I want to too, but my friends that I just made, she's still having her yearning. She was like, "Nah, something's supposed to happen." So now I can fast forward because I got exactly what I needed. And I got exactly what I needed. And that was a message God told me way earlier in the day. Let me go back in my story and find where he said that. Hold on. I'm sorry it took so long. The experience was experiencing, and it was experiencing all day. I met up with some of the girls that I met